Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 5, and today's topic is going to be about gentle parenting. And does it work?
Gentle who?
Parenting.
No, I'm joking.
I mean,
no gentle parenting.
let's define gentle parenting. 'Cause I feel like it's subjective.
So I was asking you earlier, what is it? Is it a physical parenting, if we all know what that means, or is it just talking? Like, you know, if someone does something wrong, or a child does something wrong, oh, please don't do that, do this, etc. Is that what the approach is? Like,
I think it's all about the approach, yeah. So it is about coming down to the child's level, talking to them, not at them, giving them a safe space to react, be open and talk to their parent rather than them feel fearful. I think that's pretty much how I see it.
I've heard about this, and I've done it because I've got 3 kids and they're all completely different, right? So the girls, that approach could work, right? But the boy, it's like, I don't think, like I have to kind of raise my voice for him to kind of make it clear that that's wrong. If I said, Leo, please don't do that, he's just going to look at me, laugh and do the thing anyway. So I think raising a voice in a situation, it gives you that kind of, he knows you're higher authority than him, which is good in a sense, but then it's also, he is probably quite fearful at times as well. But I'm doing the same cycle as what my mum and dad done to me. They used to shout, I used to be shook. But I knew, if I knew that they were cross, I knew where I stood, and I don't do that stuff anymore. And I think that's how with him, that's how it works. With the girls, I could just say, Lejla, don't do that. And she'll
But even from a young age? Like,
yeah, I mean, with her, with the girls, it's just the girls. They're cool, they're calm. The boy, it's a different story. I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know. Asha, help me out here. I don't know if you're going in about it.
With my boy, he's very energetic and he's mischievous, and no matter how much I try to initially with discipline try and speak calm to him, I feel like he does play on that. And I feel like when I am more aggressive, that's when he gets in line.
My routine is I tell Zaid off, and then he gets really upset, and then we do the whole talking thing. The whole gentle parenting, talking down to the level in the beginning. It just doesn't work, you know. He will push and push and push until he gets told off, and then suddenly a light switch on, and then
you realise, like, okay, she's serious now.
So like, what we're saying is we initially do the gentle parenting, and then after we realise
There's so much
I'm the complete opposite. So I started off thinking that the way that my parents, first of all, there's a difference between discipline and punishment and consequences, right? But I thought that by being like shouting and being aggressive in my tone and letting her know that I'm the boss, it's not you, I thought that's how you should raise children, right? To respect you. But what I was doing was, it wasn't real respect because it was through fear and anxiety. And then I started to realise that actually was not working with my child at all. She was not understanding why I was trying to discipline for certain reasons, because I wasn't telling her, I wasn't teaching her, I wasn't guiding her. I was just asserting my level of like, I am the boss here. And that's why I feel like that whole kind of shouting at your kids and doing that, it just, for me and my child, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Like when I started to, and also it's not gentle, for me, gentle, I was doing this before I even knew it was a thing, like a label. So for me, gentle parenting isn't me like, oh, they're there, don't worry, you did something wrong, but don't worry. No, it's about telling her like, this wasn't okay. You didn't know before, you know now. You know that this is a boundary now, and that if you do it again, we'll have a conversation, and next time there might be a consequence of you breaking that boundary. And what that consequence looks like, we'll face it when we come to it, because my daughter changes every single day.
Okay, so that's more patience as well, because you know when we're angry sometimes and we're just telling off a child, we're just out doing it out of no patience. Whereas that's a patient approach, and a child might take that a bit more.
But it's worked. Like for me personally, it's worked.
Has that worked always, or is it like only at a certain age?
So it didn't work when I was doing the whole being a disciplinarian. That never worked. My child never understood why I was telling her what I was telling her. It started to work the second I was talking to her about her behaviour, it worked.
But I don't think like telling off a child is always aggressive. Yeah. Children get told off at school all the time. Yeah. You know, so, you know, and I tell Zaid off, and then we'll talk things through. And I feel like, you know, children should respect that they are being told off when they're doing something wrong. And then you can explain the consequence. I think, you know, like when I was younger, there was no telling off. It would literally be a belt straight away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or a fry pan or a shoe. Yeah. It would be a hard shoe. Slipper's too light. You know? It's too light. It's too foamy. No. Too cushion. Oh my God, I'm looking back. But yeah, it's just
flashbacks.
Yeah, and then it's just like, I don't know how my parents did that, you know, I don't know how they did that. But I feel like, you know, telling off, I think that's healthy. Because that's the reality in life.
Like if you're shouting your child like, and you're in their face and they're scared of you.
That's different. That's different.
That's not telling off. Yeah. I think like you can't control how your child reacts to when you're being aggressive, because what you're doing is you're expressing how you feel.
But that's the thing. That's two completely different things. Telling off doesn't have to be aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
completely different. You know, like it's reality in life. Like, you know, can you imagine like you are speaking on the level to a child 24/7? That's not really setting them up for real life. I don't think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if
everybody ain't gonna have that same patience? Life ain't gonna have that same patience.
It's not reality.
You have to be the one to be impatient and be aggressive. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying, why is it a parent's job to do that?
I don't. When I tell Zaid off, it's not me from being an impatient perspective. I am the mum. This is wrong. You shouldn't have done this. Or like, you made that mess. Pick it up. Zaid, pick it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just like, right, I'll count to 3. Yeah. And it's just having that assertiveness. And that's classed as being told off. You know, it doesn't have to be that
violent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I think it's just like society is going from extreme to extreme. Yeah. You know, it's either so aggressive where there's fear. Zaid's not scared of me. Yeah. But when he gets upset when I'm upset. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So and then I'm able to talk things through. Like, I don't even raise my voice and he's like in crisis because I'm upset. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, no, don't worry. No, and I feel bad. Yeah. And it's little things like, you know, when a child says like language, use of language. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't say it's okay. Yeah. I would say now, thank you for saying sorry. Because I've learned, and that's literally recent. Okay, it's not okay your behaviour, but thank you for acknowledging. And although you think that a 4-year-old,
it really works.
It does. It does.
Because what you're doing actually in that moment, because I do that exact same thing with Bella. What you're doing in that moment is you're acknowledging that they understood that their behaviour was wrong. They took the time to apologise. And therefore now they know next time it does require an apology and I need to fix up my behaviour.
But the thing is, you know what, if they get told off at school, if you're doing gentle parenting at home, isn't it like a shock to the system if they get told off at school, but my mum doesn't tell me off and you're telling me off?
Like, would she even listen to the teacher then at that point?
My daughter wouldn't. I can tell you that now, my daughter wouldn't, because she doesn't respond to that aggression. She wouldn't. If someone shouted at her, she'd just look at them and be like, that's just going to go straight over my head, because that's not how you pass on information. Imagine if someone just came in your face and just shouted, would you want to listen?
But that's not, again, but I think you're like focused on, you know, telling off as shouting and, you know,
but I'm saying like if at school it was like that, then my daughter wouldn't listen to that. Like she wouldn't, if it was aggressive like that, she wouldn't.
So what if your daughter got told off at school? Would she be receptive?
I guess it depends on how the teacher does it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what it is. Like sometimes the kids, her and her friends will be like, oh, Miss So-and-so shouted at us in class today. And if you ask them why, a lot of the time they'll be like, I don't know. Because all they remember is
the raised
shouting.
voice.
Yeah, the raised voice and the fear that came along with it. So actually the information the teacher probably wanted to pass on wouldn't have...
Wasn't communicated.
Yeah, it's not communicative at all for a child. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah.
But going back to patience, sometimes, like, I'm not always patient. Yeah, it's just a human thing. I'm not, and I can't, like I said, I'll be aware of it, so it's not something where I'm always like, they do something and I'm like, but there's some days where I'm short, and that can be with little humans and big humans.
Yeah.
That's just, and that's the reality. And then after, if I realise it was and sometimes it can be something like, okay, because you weren't listening, do you know what I mean? And I will explain that. But then sometimes it could be, I'll reflect and it could be me. Okay, Alvina, you didn't properly organise yourself, so now we're running late. And then I realise it's a me thing. So now I've shouted at them, and it's like, quickly, you need to get out of the house. Talking in that kind of tone when, do you know what I mean? But I'm able to look and realise, like, okay, Alvina, that's your fault, and I apologise.
Okay.
Yeah, and I apologise.
I apologise as well.
Because I do. Like, I'm no perfect mum. Trust me, I lose my patience, and like, we're only human, right? But in what I've learnt with my child is if I acknowledge the fact that I was impatient and that was a me problem, it wasn't a her problem. It really helps us be more like emotionally available for each other in our relationship, and it allows her to feel more safe to express how she feels. And then it also, she's learned how to read me. And she knows, Mummy, is everything okay? Like, do you need support with something? My child is 8. Like, or even like this morning when I was getting ready, she's like, Mummy, am I taking too long? Because I was getting frustrated at my makeup. And I had to like stop. And I was like, no, this is a mummy problem. It's not you problem. And that's my point, how my child, where she heard me get frustrated and be like, oh God, my makeup's just really getting on my nerves, she thought it was something she'd done wrong, even though it was nothing to do with her. And that's why I know from my childhood how that felt, constantly growing up in survival mode and walking on eggshells so not to upset the adults in the house. I don't want my child to feel like that at all, because if she's picking up just when I'm frustrated doing my own makeup, imagine what she would be like if I aimed it at her.
Imagine. Has your parents ever apologised to you?
Never. I don't think my parents think they did anything wrong.
Well, I've never heard of it. Like, never.
I've got a different side to things. So I would say that I didn't really have a choice with doing gentle parenting because my child has needs. She has ASD. So the approach to her and her needs has to be gentle. I just have to understand that communication is an issue, so I have to take time. At the beginning, I didn't really understand it. Obviously, you learn on the job. So there were times where I was frustrated because I'm just like, I need to know what's wrong. You're crying and I don't understand what's going on. You're not able to tell me. We're having a meltdown right now. But now, after kind of looking into it a bit and kind of researching and being with her for quite some time now, I'm able to kind of talk to her on a level, and I can get more out of her actually. And same with you, like she can pick up on if I'm frustrated. It's not even her. It could be anything, but she'll look at me, and that's kind of how we communicate through eyes. She can speak more now, but in terms of her, our eye contact has to be, and she has that with her teachers at nursery, which is great. So as soon as she feels a certain way, if she's anxious or whatever, she'll look at her teacher, and the teacher will know exactly what to do. So that's kind of...
That's really sweet.
Do you think your style of parenting marries up with the way children are at school? Like, for example, if your child gets told off for something at school and a parent says, oh, they did such and such a thing, if you didn't agree with the teacher telling the child off, or you didn't think it warranted a telling off, do you follow through with that with your child?
I do.
Do you?
I do. If Zaid's teacher tells me, oh, he didn't have a good day today, and they told him off, then the whole car journey home, it would be, you don't hit anybody. Put your hands out. So they've done the telling off. They've done the telling off, and that's it. But he now knows that it's been communicated to mum, and I'm not happy with it. So it would be the whole car journey home, and then we have a discussion about it tomorrow.
I'm the same with my son. Like, the other day, the nursery assistant, we called them all aunties. She came to me and she's like, today wasn't a good day for him. He was bad. I stood there and said, listen, you better say sorry to auntie right now. You don't behave like that, and you know better than that. And he said sorry, auntie. I said, are you going to behave like that again? No. On the way home, again, no TV, no dinner, book, bed, because you weren't good at nursery, and that's not how we behave. So he needs to understand that there's consequence to your actions. I think that's my form of somewhat discipline for now, because that seems to that's what he understands.
Because if it's not okay in nursery, it's not going to be okay at home.
Exactly. And sometimes I feel like even the nursery, they're not as stern with him as I'd like them to be, because he knows he can play up on his cuteness or whatever. And he's like, my boy, he's my son. But I always tell him no, don't give him that, because then he's going to walk into life feeling like his cuteness will get him away with everything.
See, I think the nursery are more stern than I am.
Oh, okay. No,
you know?
Well, I would say working in schools at times, it depends, because I'll have a conversation with my child to see what they're saying as well. Like my daughter, she might be like, oh, the teacher shouted, she said he wasn't tidying up, but I was tidying up. I believe her. He was tidying up. And that's that. I'm not going to say anything like it's that. If the teacher said she wasn't tidying up and she shouted, it's not a big deal. We're not going to, you know.
But this is it. This is what I don't understand. Like sometimes the school tells them off for actually doing good things. Like, for example, this is a bit of a funny one. So Lejla came home saying that she basically got told off today in cooking. So I was like, okay, what did you do? She's 13, yeah. And then she said, I washed my rice and I got told off.
For washing the rice?
Right? But I was so confused because she was that close to getting a detention for continuing to washing rice.
Oh.
So when she came home to tell me that, I was so baffled. I was like,
what's that teacher's name?
You know, right? But the thing is, she came home even more confused and actually questioned, should I even wash rice?
Yes, babe, you should.
But please wash your rice. If the teacher told her, okay, my thing would be, I understand that you feel the need to wash rice, but your teacher told you shouldn't at that point. So, and because this is the thing with my son, he's at that age where there's authority and you're in the class, so you follow those rules. So at the end of the day, you're right, washing rice is the right thing. But if your teacher's told you to stop washing the rice, in my opinion,
but this is what she did.
Washing the rice.
She did not stop. She said, what is the benefit of not washing rice? And that's how I raised my child. You can't just tell her to not wash rice and just think it's okay not to. Like, there's a point, right? And I think at that age, it gets difficult because you can't just say, don't do that. They're not going to listen. They want to know the ins, the outs, and whys. And if you don't have that research to back it up, they're going to continue to do it. So they have to be prepared. Everyone, we have to be prepared for that.
But then I think, from a school setting, when you've got how many children, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I completely get it.
Explain. I do believe, she asked the questions. I wasn't aware of that. So she asked the question. The teacher should then explain. But then I think I expect my children to question. But then I also.
Get it.
Your daughter would have been like, well, my mum tells me to wash my rice, so I'm going to wash my rice.
Exactly.
And then the teacher's then going to get further frustrated.
It becomes difficult, I think. It gets quite tricky because that authority of I need to listen to my parents and not the teacher, it all hit us, right? We've always come across that at some point in secondary school. And I don't know, what is that? Is that a point where we failed as gentle parenting, or is that just the point of us raising warriors? And
because it's not failing. Every child is different. Every situation is different. We got to roll with it as it's being brought to us. Like there is no manual for how you're going to raise every child the same. No.
So you can't. Exactly. Like we were saying about meeting your child's needs. Like I figured through lockdown that my child definitely has different needs. And that's where I had to switch up my parenting skills, because the way that I was parenting her wasn't working. It wasn't meeting her needs. She was not going to thrive in my parenting style the way whatever it was before. And now she does. Like, I can see, like, her school report, I got it yesterday, and it was explaining how much progress she's made in the relationships she's creating, her friendships, because first of all, she's an only child. She grew up watching a relationship that she should have never been in that situation ever as a child at such a young age, and it would have affected her, right? Children that age, especially when they experience any type of trauma from early on, they struggle forming attachments and relationships. Like, she'd go to school, and maybe if a friend just said something like, you know, kids can be so mean. She'd come home and cry for hours. She'd be like, she's not my best friend anymore. Everyone hates me. My life is over. I hate school. But like working with her, like trying to get her to express her emotions with the help of therapy, because my child went through therapy as well, like, and also talking to the teachers and making them understand, like, she's got different needs. I don't care whether there is a diagnosis or not. My child needs, I want her to thrive. I'm that parent that I want this to work, right? And it's worked. Yesterday her report said that how much she's come forward in the relationships and friendships that she's built at school.
I love that.
And to me, like, I was reading all the maths and the stuff, and I was like, yeah, great, but she's 8, like, that's going to change. But for that emotional thing that they wrote in there about how she's changed as a person, developed as a person, that was just, it said everything I needed to know.
Is that a combination between gentle parenting and therapy?
Yeah, so I'm very, like, I'm
such they kind of go hand in hand, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for me, like, so therapy, and at my daughter's school they have what is called Thrive, which a lot of the time is funded for children who maybe have ADHD or autism or ASD. So I guess it's what you call like spectrum behaviour. I don't know the terms very well. But at Bella School, they take her on because they just see that she has a need for it, right? And it's helped. It's created some safety in her to be able to express herself in the way that she needs, but also I work hand in hand with these people. Like, when she was, when she had a therapist, I would talk to a therapist, constantly communicating with her, like, what is it that I need to do to follow up on these sessions? Like, what can I do? Because I'm her mum. That is my responsibility to make sure that she thrives. How can she thrive if I don't follow through with the things that I need to give her? Like, children are so vulnerable. Like, they have us. That's it. They don't have anyone else yet, and they rely on us every single day. Our babies wake up and they're like, my mum's going to do everything. Like, they just trust us. They just trust us to look after them, right? That's a big responsibility. Like, how can anyone just neglect and fail on that? I'm not saying that if you don't gentle parent, you're neglectful. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just talking about like in the extreme situations where children are neglected or they grow up in really violent or abusive households. It's just like it breaks my heart, because I think it really does boil down to my own childhood trauma, where I just remember, like, I didn't thrive. My whole childhood was survival mode.
Wow.
My whole childhood was just in pure survival mode, and I think I've achieved so much in my life in the last 3 years, right? But imagine what I could have achieved from early childhood. Just imagine.
It's sowing those seeds, isn't it? And what our parents do for us early on, that can change how we are as an adult. And I feel like our children are at that age where we could be making and sowing those seeds right now to make them a better adult.
So I think overall, I think gentle parenting is subjective and more personal to you, because to you do gentle parenting. Same. I feel like I do, even though I do tell Zaid off. So it's catered to how you define, define gentle parenting.
I'm just a parent. Like, I'm literally just a parent. Like, that's the label. Like, like, what are these labels?
So that's it for episode 5. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Welcome to our hood, it's motherhood.